Hello, everyone. Welcome to my weekly Tell Your Story speaker series. And I'm so excited to interview Leah Vaugh tonight. And her and I connected this past year through, I believe, a female entrepreneur group. And we've stayed in touch over social media. When I asked for volunteers to share their story, she happily agreed. And oh my goodness, she does have quite the story and has overcome a lot in her life. And so I know that she is a life and mindset coach, and that becoming a coach has been a result of essentially turning your pain into purpose, which I know you're going to be telling us all about. But yeah, I would love to hand it over to you, Leah, and have you get started just telling us, like, what happened in your life and how did that lead to you starting this business?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Krista, so much again for just the opportunity. I love opportunities because it's always, an exciting time to share testimony, and you never know who's listening and who needs to hear things. So that's something that I love to do. So I was excited, to that you extended the, just the invitation. So thank you. I am Leah Vaugh. I am the owner of Live Resiliently Coaching, and Live Resiliently just kind of means a lot of personal things to me. It's not just the name of a business that I, own, or the coaching that I do. The reason why I wanted to become a life coach many years ago, back in 2011, life coaching wasn't really a thing. It was kind of it was a thing, but it was something that nobody really took seriously. And, everyone was still trying to figure out what it was. It wasn't therapy. It wasn't counseling. What was it,
Yep.
So for me, it was the perfect opportunity because, as you said, I've overcome a ton of just really difficult challenges in my life. Starting at the age of 14. When I was 14, I was raped by the older brother of a classmate in school, my freshman year in high school. Actually, it was the summer after my freshman year. And that kind of opened the door of a lot of things that spiraled after that. I ended up in a very long adolescent dating abusive relationship. Very physically abusive, very manipulative. It was very scary for me. I'm very lucky to actually have survived that relationship. And after that, I was a very dysfunctional person. I was very broken. I didn't know what healthy love looked like. I had no idea what a relationship was supposed to look like. I thought that dysfunction was normal. And I wasn't necessarily raised in that kind of a home. I was raised in a very modest Christian home with a, religious background, and was taught, respect. But we didn't also really open up about, relationships and stuff. And my parents were very kind of, everything was behind closed doors, and so there was a lot of things I was learning through this really dysfunctional time. Fast forward a couple of years later, and I was smack dab in my second abusive relationship. And this person ended up being diagnosed with schizophrenia, like mid-relationship, which was really scary because there was a lot of paranoia, a lot of anxiety, kind of a lot of really odd, bizarre behavior. And I just could not, for the life of me, understand what was going on. It was very scary. And so after that, that relationship ended. Thankfully, I was able to safely end that relationship as well. And that motivated me at that point because I knew better at that time in my life. I was in my mid to late 20s and was just kind of like, okay, people aren't supposed to act like this. What's going on and why? So I decided to be proactive, and I decided to go to school. So I enrolled in school and wanted to get a degree in psychology. I wanted to learn about why people are diagnosed with mental illness. I wanted to know how our brains function and process the way that they do. And it just fascinated me at that point because everything made sense. From that point on, it was like the aha light bulb came on, and I understood why I was abused and why, I was almost in like a relationship with this guy that I protected but was so fearful of. And it was just kind of all of these crazy things started to surface about myself. And I started to seek therapy and counseling, and I wanted to heal my, inner core, so that I could live a healthy life and not be plagued by these relationships that really turned my life upside down. And then that's when I decided to also become a life coach, because I did a little bit of research and I was like, well, I don't want to be a psychiatrist. I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to be a counselor. What am I going to do with this degree? The degree really was just for knowledge. And so I wanted something to pair with it, but I wanted to help other people, specifically women, learn that no matter what we go through, we can overcome it. It's a mindset. It really is. And it's a motivation to take control back of your life and become empowered again. And so that's why I became a life coach. And I actually have 5 credentials as a life coach. So relationship coaching, family, youth parent and family coaching, just standard, certified professional coach. And then I'm also a business and executive coach, because my corporate career for a long time was in, it was in corporate America. I worked a lot in like accounting, stuff. So I did a little bit of everything. Then fast forward to just a few years ago, I met an individual. It was also my first same-sex relationship, and I was really allowing myself to come out and not deny who I was in the depth of my, soul anymore. And unfortunately, the right person caught me at the wrong time of vulnerability. And man, that person did a doozy on me. And so that was my third abusive relationship, which ended up being kind of the scariest, because that person was just like stalking me, couldn't let go, and just all kinds of crazy, scary stuff. And that just motivated me even more, to pick myself up again and, get my life back again. And let me tell you, in the midst of healing, I had a great group of supportive friends, one of them being my now wife. And we were both able to share some things that we were going through that really, we helped each other a lot in those times. And then, we just kind of, after a while, realized that there was a lot more to just a platonic relationship. And now, almost 4.5 years later, we just got married in October. We are like each other's backbone, and it's the most exciting thing in the world. We moved to New York City together. We're both totally thriving, and my, coaching business is just, it's incredible out here. But I am unique in that I work with a psychiatrist in Manhattan, and I am his life coach for his psychiatry patients.
Oh, wow.
And I work, 99% of my client load is women of all ages who have been through some sort of trauma in their lives and are working on healing and kind of exploring their journey and fixing pieces of their lives and kind of mending, the wounds of their soul and moving on. So that's why I like to consider myself a mindset coach, because again, healing really is a mindset. You have to be willing to do it, and you have to be willing to open up to it in a lot of very vulnerable ways. And so once you can open your mind to the thought of processing the things that we've been through, then it's not smooth sailing, but it's definitely a very straight trajectory to the right, direction in your life. So that's what I do out here. So it's really exciting. It just kind of, my purpose totally took off, and I have a couple of different platforms that I work with now, and some exciting stuff coming up. And I just, I can't talk enough about how we need to heal, and how trauma really carries through until we understand how it's affecting us, and then it kind of tends to sneak up and grab us and say, look, I'm still here, and we have to be willing to fix that. So that's me in a nutshell, I guess.
Well, first of all, you're a really amazing speaker. Have you had a lot of practice doing public speaking?
I have. That I can attribute to my corporate career. I was in corporate management a lot, and used to teach workshops and training, things, and did a lot. So I'm comfortable speaking and sharing for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I can tell this is not new for you. I know it's a virtual audience, but yeah, you express yourself very well. So
thank you.
That's beautiful. Okay, my next question for you is, you told us that you were in 3, abusive relationships, and I don't know if that's physically I know it sounds like mentally. I don't know if physically as well.
Yeah.
But so how does that happen to someone, right? Like, how do they go through a really intense relationship like that and get out of that? And you think the normal response would be like, oh, I'm done. I'm going to never be. And I speak from personal experience as well going through this, but so how does that happen? How do you keep ending up in these toxic relationships?
It's such a good question, and it's one that I've really had to figure out myself too sometimes, because there have been days that I felt like I literally have had a target on my head that was like, hey guys, just come crap on me, abuse me, manipulate me, all of these things. I'm just going to take it, but the reality is, and it's, we hear this saying a lot, and it's not cliche at all, but it's not easy to leave. People who are abusive are master manipulators, literally. They're usually very charming individuals, and they have a knack for preying on people who are empathetic, like me. I am an empath. So I am the one who is just like, oh, I am there for you. We're going to work this out. Yes. We're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. I understand. I'm that person. And when you're that person, you automatically seek out good qualities in other people. And it's easy to believe the positives, the I'm sorries, the I'll never do this again, all of that. And then, for example, my first abusive relationship, when I was younger, that one was very violent. So there was a definite level of fear in that relationship also. And just kind of, I was in a naive state of mind. I didn't know how to seek out resources. I hadn't learned that part of life yet. And I just kind of felt like I was trapped. And so there's so many different components to abuse, and so for me, looking back in my story, and the cycle literally repeated itself. It was like, why so many times? But each relationship taught me something different about myself and about life. And if I really want to look at it and feel victimized by it, I can, but that's going to change how I live my life going forward.
Right.
So I look at it and just kind of understand that for some reason that was my purpose, and that was what was meant to happen in this lifetime for me, and I have to take it and learn from it. And now I know that my purpose is to use my experiences as a teaching tool for others, because there were very different components of each relationship was very different. One of them was extremely physically abusive. One of them included mental health issues, and the other was just very emotionally manipulative, and there was some drug abuse on the other person's part. And so there were different components to all of them, but the biggest thing was that I trusted without acknowledging red flags, and that was something that is important to learn how not to do, is ignore the red flags. It's very hard when you want to believe, and as humans, naturally, we want to believe that people are good. That people are good in the world. We don't want to meet someone who says, I care for you, and then assume that person's going to be horrible to us. Right. That's just not human nature. And so, I learned my lesson the hard way a couple of times, but I will say each relationship was shorter and shorter and shorter, though, because I had my limitations, and really it just got to, especially in the last relationship, it really got down to the point of, now, how do I get out? How do I figure my way out? I knew pretty quickly into the relationship that it was not healthy and it was not going to work for me, but that person was so controlling and imprisoned me in a way that I had to literally kind of escape. So sometimes, part of how you aren't able to just up and leave is because you physically can't just up and leave, and sometimes it's a really scary thing if you're threatened or if that person is violent and you feel like there's, some aftermath or retaliation. A high percentage of women are more violently assaulted and sought after they try to leave abusive relationships than while they're in them. Controllers don't want to lose control. It offends their ego. So it's a difficult thing to get through, but the most important thing is knowing that there's resources to help. And I wish I would have known that a lot earlier in my life. Things might have been a little different, but here we are. So, yeah.
Well, I hate that you had to go through all this, but at the same time, I'm so grateful that you're using all this now to help people and to give them that support and to give them these resources, to let them know they're not alone, they're not crazy. Because I know that's one of the biggest things is when you're with manipulators, they get in your mind and they make you feel like you're literally like gaslighting, right? They literally make you feel like you're doing everything wrong, like you're fucking everything up. And then when your self-esteem is low, you're like, well, I can't move on because I'll never find anyone as good as this person and I'll never thrive in life. And it's a terrible cycle. Yeah, it's a terrible cycle. So I'd like to say that those cycles or that cycle has ended in my life. Thankfully now I'm in a place where I'm so empowered that if you put a red flag in me, I'd probably burn it. So it's just like, no, this isn't happening anymore. And then also it's just so important to really learn who you're with also. Sometimes we rush into things or we don't take enough time to explore our partners and kind of what they're all about. And that also is something that can lead to an opportunity for someone to be a manipulator or an abuser. So very true.
Yeah, it's very important.
Very true.
Absolutely.
So my next question for you is, you discovered that, now I'm curious, did you discover that you were attracted to women, or was it that you were just attracted to your wife? Like, how do you identify sexually?
So now I identify fully as a lesbian.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny because I grew up in a very small town in California. And there was not any sort of a gay LGBT, even the acronyms didn't exist then. It was just, there was nothing, it wasn't talked about. There wasn't anybody to show me that life and, and be open about it and see it. So for me, I followed what I was taught. And I tried to understand the core of the morals and values that were instilled in me from when I was a toddler, going to preschool and Sunday school and church choir and learning the Bible and studying and all of these things. And I think the biggest thing for me was as I got older, I started to really challenge a lot of that stuff. And I've always had an attraction to females, but it was never something that I entertained because I didn't feel like that was right or it was, anything. And so I've really kind of suppressed that piece of me for a very, very long time. And, unfortunately, my beautiful wife was not my first same-sex relationship, but I was in a position when I met her to just kind of, go full throttle. But my ex-wife that I met first, even though she brought so much kind of horror to my life, she also opened that door for me to explore that part of me and be proud of who I was and not be ashamed of it. So I am thankful in the aspect of being comfortable in really embracing who I was, even though it was in my, early 30s, it still was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I love this. I love how it feels. I love that I can just go with my attraction or my emotion and not worry about who's judging me or what they're thinking. And, so I am very grateful to, the LGBT culture for really standing firm and coming out, because that helped me after all of these years come out. And now it's like, I'm so proud of who I am, and I'm so proud of my wife and our relationship. And, it's like, we're just as healthy and functional and happy, and everything else is anybody else's. So, that's all that matters. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And my daughters love it too. It inspires them to just know that you can be whoever you want. You can live life, however you want. And it's not up to me to tell them, who to be when they grow up, or how to be and how to feel, So I want them to understand that I didn't necessarily get that support when I was young. Not that it was in a bad way, but, I just wish that I would have been able to kind of express myself a lot younger.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And I grew up religious as well in the Lutheran denomination. And I was taught that certain things were a sin, certain things were going to get you punished and sent to hell. And this is a big part of the book that I'm currently writing. And for me, my story, I always used to judge women who would get abortions. And then guess what happens at 22? I accidentally get pregnant and was like not ready to be a mom and get an abortion. And that was really what helped to shift me kind of out of the religious place, because I didn't feel supported with that decision.
Yeah.
And I just was like, there's got to be a different way of life, of where you get to like be the fullest expression of you, and it's not shameful, it's not sinful. There's got to be a different relationship with God or the universe out there. And so it's been so liberating, like switching more into spirituality and I know for a lot of people religion works, but for me it just felt so limiting and fearful and constricting. And I agree. I think that everybody, I'm a very spiritual person, but there's a difference between spirituality and religion. I do believe that there is a higher power entity that kind of shows me the way and helps me learn and teaches me and grows me in a lot of my experiences and help me understand my purpose and all of these things. But I don't necessarily think that my idea or belief of what that entity is matches to everybody's. But I think at the end of the day, if we all have a common goal of just kindness and wellness and humanity, then it should be okay. So that's kind of my philosophy on life now is, no judgment, just let's all get along and support each other and live our lives, because we're all humans. We're all born on this earth to live, right? We all want to enjoy our life and make the most of our life. So why is that such a bad thing if my life looks different from yours? It's okay, And then you shared some exciting news with me earlier that you're going to be trying for your fourth baby, and then would it be your wife's first child, or does she have children? Okay.
Yeah, it will be her first, my fourth. So I'm a little more experienced, but it's exciting. And like I had mentioned to you, it's exciting to know that it'll be with somebody who's such I'm in such a different place in my life than my other children. And all of my children were born out of love, and, they were all, wanted and really spoken into, existence. But at the same time, relationships were different for me in that time in my life. And so now it's just knowing that I really truly have a partner through it. And then also it's exciting for me this time too, because I'll have a woman by my side who can understand some of the things that women go through in our bodies and with hormones and changes. And I'm, anticipating a little empathy there, so that's exciting for me. I just feel like it'll be a completely different experience this time around. So it makes me really excited. I will be 40 this year, and I am just like, hey, it's the new 20 or 30 or whatever, but it doesn't scare me. I'm ready, I'm ready. So we're excited. Hopefully by the end of the year, that's what my story will be.
Oh, amazing. And then is it okay to get a little bit more intimate with the details of this, or to ask you some questions? I love to just I love to know it all. I have the curious brain of a child. So then will you go to a sperm bank to get the sperm, or I would love to know how this process works.
Well, it's so expensive to do like in vitro and stuff like that. And it's hard, especially nowadays in the insurance age. There's a lot of things that are not supported financially as far as insurances. So we have to be careful, to set ourselves up financially to be able to do it. So this will be something that we plan to do on our own, but we do want to get it from a safe sperm bank where we can trust the quality of the product that we'll be buying. And, it also allows us to kind of pick and choose, because we definitely want the baby to have qualities of both of our ethnicities. My wife is a strong Black woman, and we want to have those qualities. We want to be able to share both of our, experiences with our child. And we also want them to look like that's something that, we both created and poured love into. So, but we do have a couple of banks picked out that we are, hoping to get our sperm from. And then, hopefully nature will take its course and we won't have to plan for a more extensive procedure. But just fingers crossed that my body will cooperate.
Yeah, absolutely. When you said like to use a safe sperm bank, are there sperm banks out there that aren't safe to use?
Well, I guess that might not have been the right word to use, but it's like you have to research, because some places, that we've looked at have a lot of different requirements that you have to meet, and some places seem a little more lax where you can just kind of go in and buy. Some places allow you the opportunity to know the full identity of the donors. So they all offer different levels of kind of what you can pick and choose from. So for us, we picked, a couple of places that would allow us to focus on like the ethnicity, the quality, the genetics and stuff like that. So that's what we're hoping, to be able to move forward with.
Wow, this is so interesting. Thank you for being honest about this, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who they want to be educated about this and know what their options are. And I don't know, some people don't want to go into all the dirty details, but I think this is how we change the world, is just by sharing our truthful stories. And so I love it that you're being so open here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Definitely. Well, it's, I look at it as it's not something that I will hide from the world, because it's a total blessing.
Yeah.
And to be able to be a woman who loves a woman and know that not only are we able to be married, and acknowledged as a legitimate marriage, union, we can also have a child together. And, for some people, adoption is, the route to go. But biologically, I have children and I know what it's like to feel biologically connected and nurtured, and be able to nurture a child. And I know, how great it feels, which I'm sure you're experiencing or will experience soon, when you can feel the baby and really go there with it, and sing and massage your belly and kind of feel all the flips and the bumps and the kicks and all. That's exciting. That's what I remember. I want to experience that again. So we definitely, I can't wait. It's giving me baby fever just talking about it. I'm like, let's go.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. And when I was a labor and delivery nurse, I delivered a lot of women that was having baby in their 40s. So like you said, it really is the new 20.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel, and I have to elaborate as kind of a side, a little off topic. It's been, it's hard to grasp age sometimes, especially as we get older and our bodies feel run down or we feel aches and pains. Earlier this year, I battled thyroid cancer, and it was just like, it blew my world apart. I felt horrible physically. And even now today, it's kind of challenging because I'm starting to learn how to live without a thyroid and how it affects my body, even though the cancer is removed and the surgeons and doctors feel like I'm clear to go and, good to go and clear and free. But it's, it's scary as we get older because we know there's an inevitable biological change happening, but I feel like despite everything I've been through, I feel really good. I feel like it could be a lot worse than it is. And I'm very proactive in my health and just kind of staying on top of, my medication regimen and my vitamins and the things that I need to be healthy, and I don't indulge and overboard, and I try to treat my body well. So I think that definitely makes a huge difference at this age, and wanting to get pregnant too. I have to prepare my body to be ready for that pregnancy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh my goodness.
So
You just keep throwing all these twists and turns in the story. So
let me tell you, I am so excited for 2020 because I remember this time last year, I was planning a women's event. I was getting ready to plan this huge networking event in Brooklyn. It was like my baby. I was putting everything together, and it was supposed to be in March of this year. And in February, my mom passed away unexpectedly, and everything fell apart. And then in May, my grandmother passed away. And then in June, I had my thyroid removed. And it was just like, okay, 2019, you suck. Like, I can't stand you. And I feel like it motivated me more to share more of my story, because that is the adversity people feel like they can't overcome. When life pummels you, it's like that wave that knocks you down, and then you grasp, you surface your head for air, and boom, here comes another one and another one, and you feel like you're drowning, literally. And I got through every single piece of that, and it's okay that this grand event I was planning didn't happen, and it's okay I had to cancel it and call it off, because life happened. But the great thing is, now going into 2020, I'm actually planning a 7-week webinar called Transitioning from Trauma with Leah. And it's almost like a new beginning. I'm turning a new leaf now. I'm ending the year on a good note. I got married in October, which was an incredible, blissful moment for me. We had a beautiful wedding, a beautiful honeymoon, and it was like the light at the end of the tunnel that really held me through, just knowing that there was happiness somewhere, in my future. So now it's sharing that, and I'm ringing in the new year this year on a definite positive note. So it's there are a lot of twists and turns. Let me tell you, one day I'll write a book.
Yeah, this definitely deserves to have a book, and multiple books, not just one.
Yes, exactly. Speaking it into existence. So
amazing. Well, thank you so much, Leah, for just openly sharing your heart today. And I know that this story is going to, touch so many lives and help so many people feel like they're not alone. And
definitely.
Yeah, and so I will include your links in the comment section here of the Facebook video, and then when I upload this YouTube as well, so that way people can continue to follow you. And
thank you so much.
Yeah,
that is so great. I appreciate the opportunity, and like I said, not sharing isn't for everybody. You have to go through a certain healing process to be open to share your story. And I feel like even after I became a life coach, even after I got my degree in psychology, life kind of hit me boom, boom, boom a couple of times in different ways that I wasn't expecting. But the moral of it for me was that my purpose was to share that just no matter what in life, you can always conquer it. You can heal the trauma. You can get through it as long as you have faith and confidence in yourself and your inner strength. Never doubt what's inside of you, even though someone seems to be kind of compromising it. You know what I mean? Because we are created as powerful human beings. And once we tap into that power, then that's where we begin to unleash our empowerment. And so it's definitely been a difficult but exciting journey. I have my days when I'm a blubbery mess and I feel like I don't want to face the world, but I let myself have those days because I need them. So, we all do. We have to be able to release what's inside too. So I'm happy to share. It helps me also heal some of the wounds that I'm still working through to be able to share my story and talk about it. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like every time we share our stories, we get a little bit stronger. Our wounds get a little bit more closed up, and
definitely,
and it took me 10 years before I could start publicly admitting about the abortion and talking about it, and even have the courage now to put it in my book that I know will be read by hundreds, thousands, hopefully millions.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I get it takes a while to heal and process and to get to that place where you say, okay, now I'm ready. I feel this happened for a reason, and I'm ready to start sharing and using it to help others. And for some people that might be a shorter time span, and for other people it might be years and decades and longer. And it's just up to each individual person what that healing looks like.
Absolutely. And I think too, you know, we have to promote kindness, especially in today's culture. There's so much conflict and just unhappiness and hate that goes around. And, you know, our story is our story, but someone else's story is not ours to judge. You know, we all make the best decision that we can in the moment with what we're given. And we're all our own expert in our lives. And so it's important to understand that sometimes we share difficult things, but, you know, people, I'm just such a promoter of more compassion in our world. You know, we need more compassion and a lot less judgment, a lot more support, you know, a lot more love. So, and I think we'd be a much, much happier place.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yeah.
All right, Leah.
Thank you so much, Krista. I appreciate it. It's been an honor, really, honestly. I see a lot of your videos, and I do follow you a lot, and I appreciate all of the, you know, just wisdom that you share too. It's very inspiring too, as a fellow life coach. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And congratulations. I'm excited to watch your journey now.
Oh yeah. You better believe I'm going to be talking all about the home birth and the
oh, good. That's so exciting. So
the gross, you know,
absolutely
parts that people will be like, I'm going to eat my placenta, and I'm going to like have the birth photographer. My boobs are probably going to be hanging out. Like, I'm just going to go there because it's like, fuck it. Like, I want people to see the raw side of a completely different experience. And I want to do that. So.
Well, good for you, girl. So much love and light to you. Like, enjoy every moment of it. I will be watching all of it.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Good night, Leah.
Bye. It's been great. Bye-bye.